Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Beth Ellicott.
And you are listening to Fiber Talk, the twice weekly podcast for needlework artists. Our artist this week, Susan Hoekstra from the National Embroidery Teachers Association. Susan, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, Susan is one of those that we talked to early on in this journey of Fiber Talk stuff. You said 2017. I didn't look it up, but holy smokes.
Yeah, I believe it's been 4 years. Crazy.
Yep. Well, we need to do it more often. That's just what that's telling me right there. So today, Susan, go back and listen to that one. If you want to learn about Susan, what she does and how she does it and how amazing she is, go listen to that one. Just put in Hoekstra in the search engine. It will come up in the wetalkfiber.com. You can listen to that. But today, we're going to talk about the National Embroidery Teachers Association. And Susan is the president. And doing research for this show opened my eyes to what this organization has to offer. Wow, there's a tremendous resource there for, and not just for people who are hiring teachers or for teachers, but I can see value in this organization from stitchers all the way through. This is there's a lot here. So tell us, Susan, tell us about this organization. How does it get started? What does it do? How does it function?
Okay, the NETA, as we call it, let's see, it was formed in 1977 under the name of National Embroidery Teachers Association. They were looking to offer different conferences where people could come and learn designs and different types of canvas work and color and design. They arranged their first conference on the campus of East Carolina University in North Carolina in July of 1978. And during that conference, they had all kinds of really cool classes: color design, surface embroidery, research fundamentals. And one that I found very interesting is called Inspiration and Imagination in Planning a Teaching Program. Since that time, they haven't had another conference, mainly because the American Needlework organizations have been doing a remarkable job of providing educational opportunities. So they haven't had to step back into that. But if the need be at any time, I believe we would be able to do that. Right now, there are about 125 to 130 members. They're all over the United States, Canada, Britain, Brazil. I've met some people from Germany. They're all over the world. They try to have meetings at all of the National Needlework organizations, annual meetings, seminars. And we encourage all members to get together as often as possible. Every seminar, every EGA, and these are the national ones, not regional, EGA, A&G, NAN, Brazilian Embroidery. We try to have a NETA meeting there where people can ask questions and try to learn about the organization.
Okay, and from the teacher perspective, then, what this organization does is give them a home, a place to share teaching techniques and experiences, but also is a place, a resource for people who are looking to hire instructors for programs, or a shop that might want to have somebody in for a weekend event. This gives a really, with that many members, an excellent resource for top flight educators.
That's exactly what it's all about. That's exactly, yes.
Well, all right, then we're done. Okay, thanks, Susan. That was fun.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's a little more to it than that, but yeah, it's all about getting teachers together and sharing information amongst each other. We have a public forum on Facebook, and we have a private forum on a groups.io page. And, we put different information out on each page. The Facebook is, we put out, try to advertise what the teachers are doing. And on the private page that you have to be a member to access, it's more about how do you deal with the new technology? How do you get classes started? Where do you buy your items? That kind of thing.
The new technology. I bet that's been a hot topic.
You better believe it. Absolutely.
Oh, man. All the teachers gather, help.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of, because not everybody is, well, I'm not, how shall I say that? Well, not everybody embraces technology, and
Right.
some of our older teachers are a little afraid of it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to ease them into that so they can continue doing what they love to do.
Yeah, well, I mean that's just a harsh reality, and
Yeah.
if you've never really had to deal with computers, and all of a sudden to continue teaching, you have to go online, and yeah, that's culture shock.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's been tough for some teachers to overcome.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And there's, how much do you want to go online? Do you need, what kind of
Yeah.
camera do I need? All that information. It's a lot to take in.
Oh, absolutely. Our next meeting, we've just started having online Zoom meetings because we haven't been able to meet, and we're having bi-monthly meetings. And our next one in June covers technology. So, yeah, I mean, it's specifically dedicated to technology. So,
yeah.
we are hopeful to be helpful.
Do
Yeah.
Are most of your members offering online courses these days? Has that become? Are we over the hump? I guess is the question.
No, we are not
No.
anywhere
Okay.
near the top of the hump. Out of all of our members, I would estimate right now probably, because I do the website, so I should be able to remember, maybe 20, maybe 25 people offer online classes and or lectures. Yeah.
Oh. So that
So we're not
explains
there yet.
explains why your meeting is about technology at this juncture. Then you've got a lot of people to help out. Then.
Yeah, we have to disperse a lot of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on our website, if you go by, I think it's under specialties, specialty and name. If you search for a teacher, on the very top is a link to the people that offer online availability of lectures and classes.
Okay. Yeah, well, and that's useful for groups small groups in particular, who generally can't afford to have someone fly in. This has been this is a real plus now. This opens some doors for those smaller groups.
Oh, absolutely. There are a lot of groups that are reaching out to a lot of teachers, myself included, just for a lecture, an hour-long lecture that their people can listen to and think about, and then do what they want to with the information. But it's been very helpful, I think, to those hard to reach areas.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when that happens, because typically if you have a teacher come and do a class, then you pay travel expenses and meals and the teaching fee, and on top of your kit fees. When they do it electronically, what does that do to, say, a small chapter's expenses? Is it then the teaching fee and kits, or what do we deal with?
If it's a lecture, then it's an hourly rate, basically, or that's how I do it, and that's pretty much what I can only speak to. For the classes, it is the teaching fee and the kits only. Yeah.
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 So that's much more approachable.
It is. And I know there's been some discussion on the groups.io page about how much are people actually charging for their teaching fee, because you don't have to go anywhere. You've got everything on your computer, and people, I think, are adjusting accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Right. But not having to pay for the flight, and the hotel and meals for a teacher, which are always included when you do workshops. That's a huge, a lot less to have to pay for any sort of group.
Oh, absolutely. And also the nice thing is, we can teach at our home, we don't have to go anywhere. And so that frees us up for a lot of other things. I mean, you could teach in Madison, Wisconsin one day, and, Groton, Connecticut the next day, and you never even have to leave your living room.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and Beth, you're a member of a small group. That opens some doors for you to have more programs.
Right. And to get some more learning going on in my group. We have a relatively small, a larger guild, and not a huge guild, but we generally have like 10 to 15 people who want to learn a certain technique. So to get a teacher in for just those 10 to 15 is very expensive, but to do it
Yeah.
online makes it very, very approachable.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And also the interesting thing about doing it online now, especially for the smaller guilds, is you can get into the more obscure types of needlework that, you only had 3 or 4 people who wanted to do it. And it was never feasible to bring in a teacher to teach Montmelic or Tamari or something. But now you're like, okay, these 4 people are willing to take the, to disperse, to equally pay for the teacher, then they can get what they want also.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives a lot more teaching opportunities throughout the year for the guild, instead of, we normally run just one workshop a year, if even that. And but this makes it much more approachable, and we're close to another medium-sized guild, I guess. And so sometimes we do combine resources, and that would be even easier. So we could say, okay, so your member, we have under 100 attending this lecture. Mm-hmm. So, your guild and our guild could do it together.
Right.
And split the cost even, which would be wonderful.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Get as many people as you can, because for a lecture, it is, well, either way, it is a flat fee, whether you have 10 people or you have 80 people. It doesn't make a difference. It just makes it, a little less for each person.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
When we talk about all these instructors now, for the most part, are they all certified in some way, ANG, EGA, NAN?
No. To be a member, certification is not required.
No.
The only thing that we require is that you do teach a form of needlework. We also have as members retired teachers and people who are up and coming. And also a few, I noticed when I was looking through the website, we have a few judges also. So they're teaching, judging. So, but you do not have to be certified through any organization.
Well, that's also encouraging for people who would like to teach and just don't want to go through the rigors of getting some certification.
Yes, so I do recommend certification. I am the chair of the Master Teacher Program of the ANG. So, I do recommend certification. No.
Let's pause for a plug for that program.
I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I'm not downplaying the certification at all, but I'm sure there are a number of people out there who are very good teachers, very experienced, and just haven't earned the certification, but that still want to share.
Oh, absolutely. And we embrace them wholeheartedly. We're very, very happy for them to be members. Absolutely.
Or you have somebody who's just starting the journey and they've taught at their local guild and want to take that next step and maybe become a better teacher, join the group and say, oh, here's my opportunities, but also get encouragement from people who have already gone through the certification process and help.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very good point. Right. We do. We don't offer any kind of certification. We don't offer any kind of teaching or training of teachers. But we are there to unite everybody, all the teachers who are actively engaged in teaching embroidery, and helping them become a little bit more comfortable in what they're doing, even without a training or certification program.
Now, how does NETA function? Say, for instance, I'm a local needlework store. I want to have a weekend event. It's my 25th anniversary, and I'd like to have a national level teacher come in. How do I work with NETA to find that person? Is there a procedure? Are you a booking system, or are you just someone who we've got members and they're available?
It's pretty much we have numbers and they're available. I find that when we refer shops to the website, embroideryteachers.com, they go and they can search. Maybe they know a name and they want to find out how to get a hold of that person, or they're looking for a specialty and they can look by specialty also. And so they're looking for hardanger, but they're in Maryland. So they don't necessarily, if they want them to physically come in, maybe they don't want somebody from California, but they'll take somebody from Pennsylvania. Or also, if they are doing it online, they can, pull them from anywhere, but they can find the specialty that they are looking for also.
Okay, so you guys are my shopping list.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not believe when I looked at all of the techniques,
Oh,
I couldn't
I know.
I just stopped. I couldn't believe all that you guys offer, because I was
Right.
expecting, well, we've got some needle pointers and some cross stitchers and a little embroidery here. Holy smokes, you guys got everything under the sun.
Oh, I know the variety is totally amazing, and some of the techniques are fairly rare, but they all seem to be in demand, which I think is just fascinating. And you can go and maybe find a name of something, and then you can go on to Google and try to understand what it is, which is what I've done because there are techniques out there that I don't know anything about. And it's amazing the education that you can get from these people.
Yeah, that was the real big eye opener for me.
Yeah.
It's and,
Right.
and
All the
Yeah.
different classes, it was just amazing, the things that are being taught. I'm thinking like Brazilian embroidery.
Yeah.
It's just a fascinating.
Right. I mean, if you want to do tatting, I didn't realize that there were people who were teaching tatting out there on the NETA website. I'm like, well, that's old school, but very cool.
Right.
Well, and that's what I think we're seeing a lot of that as a result of the pandemic, but I think we were starting to see that before the pandemic, this increased interest in needlework and people starting to explore other techniques. All right, I've done cross stitch for 25 years. I'd sure like to try something else. What is there? And then you see some of these techniques and they're still alive. People are still keeping them going, and you can take classes and learn about them, and all online. And I think that the pandemic has certainly accelerated that. And I sure hope that after the pandemic, when it subsides or goes away at some point, which we certainly hope it will, that
Yeah.
this will continue. I think that we've got now more tools in place to drive this and keep it going.
Oh, absolutely. And as long as people are interested, there'll be teachers to teach a certain technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty much just a pure economics thing. And, it's supply and demand. You sign up for a class. Okay, the class fills up. So now you have more demand than supply. High demand results in more people beginning to teach. So now you're going to increase your supply. So the more teachers and then the more designs you have to choose from, the more supply, the more availability of classes. It's just a great big cycle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you guys,
Yeah.
now, do you guys have direct affiliation with EGA and ANG and NAN, or are you a completely independent operation?
We are completely independent. You do not have to be a member of any of those in order to be a NETA member.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just have to teach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, encourage people to work through Susan for ANG certification. Oh,
Gosh, thanks.
yeah, we can push this, Susan. We can push this.
Oh dear. But yeah, and like you said earlier, not everybody is interested in becoming certified. Not everyone wants to teach on the national level. Some people just really want to teach at local shops and in guilds.
Mm-hmm.
And NETA is a perfect place to find out who's looking for people. And actually, that is one thing I should have said, is we do post on our groups.io page when we receive proposals from different seminars and or guilds. A guild is looking for somebody to teach, say, color or something. We do post that and let our members know that there is a possibility and the availability of a teaching venue.
Okay, so there's there is a recruiting function here that helps helps people connect with proper teachers, and that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, we do that. Yes.
So if my local guild, because we're talking about this, we're celebrating our 45th year next year of being in a guild, and we're talking kind of just generally. Last time we managed to get together, maybe we should do something special for that year. So how would we go about that, reaching a teacher that way? Would we go to the Facebook group and ask the question there?
I would probably send an email to the whatever, I can't even tell you what email address we have on our website. And then through that, it would get posted on the groups.io page. And then the teachers who are interested would respond to you directly.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm. So through the contact information on that page.
Yeah, that would be great.
NETA, okay.
Yeah, I think it'll actually end up coming to me, is my guess. I think that's where it goes right now.
I smelled that coming, yes.
Well, I wasn't thinking, and I'm like, I think it comes to me. And that's okay, Beth. I'm happy to put it out there for you. Happy to get that out.
Well, I have to get board approval first. So let me go that first. But again, it's one of those things that we are talking about, and I'm sure we're not the only guild that has that issue. Yes, we've done it before for other anniversaries, but generally it's like, well, who do we know that we can contact who would be willing to design something for us and teach a class? Right. And so it's just who our members know. But this opens a much broader range of teachers, and depending on what's happening next year, it might need to be online again. And
right. Yeah. One thing we do have, if anyone wants to get our list of teachers who are offering online lectures and or classes, we do have a spreadsheet we are willing to send out, and it will tell you who they are, and then you can contact them also. Go that way.
Right.
Few different avenues.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's go, Beth. Put that program together. Sign them up.
I came back. I was traveling last week, and I came back and I got some messages from my guild because I didn't make the board meeting, and I'm like, my mind is already going. I've got a list of things I got to get done, and this is going to the top of it because it's not too early to be working on that project. So let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's never too early to get a contract out there because we do work, 2 years out usually.
Yes, yeah. I know.
Yeah, that was my question, is just how far in advance do people need to plan? You can't just call up and have somebody there next week.
Well, with the online availability, if it's a lecture, you probably have pretty good chance that you can get that. A class, it's all according to how busy they are. In right. person, you're looking at 2022 or 3.
Yeah,
I know, it's a crazy thing.
Well, but that's, and I think that in general, needleworkers don't appreciate how far in advance designers work, and by association, teachers work in general, because even for the annual EGA and A&G and NAN seminars, they're submitting upwards of 2 years ahead of time, submitting their yes. designs, because the process just simply takes that long. And they got to know what they're doing so they can order kit materials. So it has to happen so far in advance. Yeah.
Right. The proposal might be a year and a half to 2 years in advance, but the prep work prior to that, coming up with the design, that, you're looking at another year ahead. So now you're 2.5 to 3 years. And I can say from experience, at one point in time, I think somebody had told me, oh yeah, I draw a picture and I submit it and they take it or not. And then I create my design from what I told them I was going to do. So in all of my non-wisdom, I decided, I'll do that. And then if they don't accept it, I'm golden. But, I didn't think about, okay, well, what about when they do accept it? Shoot.
Yep.
Yeah. Now I have to come up with this design, and I have a year less time. It was not the brightest move ever on my part. So I won't tell you who told me that, because she's very well known. Okay. She must make it work.
Yeah.
It works for her, but maybe, not that method for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure she did well with it, but no, I'm too much of a planner. I couldn't do that.
Kind of a reality check for you, huh? Oops.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, bad move, Susan. Bad move.
I'm just sitting here as you're saying that, thinking, wouldn't it be fun to collect photos of all the designs that we won't see for a year or 2 years that are sitting in designer computers. I bet that's an amazing array of needlework designs. Wow.
I think so, because I'm thinking, based upon my own work, we're doing 3 to 4 designs a year. So like the one, I have one design that I'm teaching at A&G next year in Tucson, and then I have 2 notebook classes. But my design, the design I'm teaching, I actually started designing in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So, we all have a whole lot of stuff that's just sitting around waiting for the time that we will propose it and get it accepted.
Right.
Yeah. It's a juggling act, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was recently interviewed Terry Bay, and she was talking about how when the pandemic hit and all of her classes got canceled, that after that initial shock, then all of the ideas that were half on paper and mostly in her head all got created, and just a flood of things that got put together because she had time. She wasn't traveling. She wasn't putting kits together and shipping them out or anything. And, I wonder how many other designers, that would be an interesting thing. Their minds just unloaded.
Well, I'm sure, we all had a lot of time to stay at home and just come up and, well, not come up with them, but get that stuff, like Terry said, get it into the computer, get it onto the canvas, and go with it. And now she has a little stock of things. She doesn't have to submit them or propose them, maybe for 3 years, but she has that little bit of a backlog, which is actually a really good thing to have.
Yeah, but don't sit on that. keep feeding the meter.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, you got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing now, say in the next 2 or 3 years? Are you seeing a 50-50 mix of online and live? Do you see us evolving back to mostly live presentations? What's your sense of where that's headed?
I think that it's going to be a 50-50 mix.
Okay.
I don't think that the big seminars are going to go away, because stitchers are very, very social, as we all know, and they like to get together with their friends.
Right.
But it is getting to be seriously cost prohibitive. I mean, it's getting to be quite expensive to go to a seminar unless you can drive, live close. But I think the EGA and A&G are going to be embracing the online a little bit more than they have been. Yeah. But like I said, I don't think in person will ever go away. It just might not be as frequently.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and who knows, over time, it just might all be local needlepoint shops, guilds, and then online for the bigger classes.
Yeah.
Well, and I can, I just joined the other local guild that's close to me because they voted, and I saw they voted to keep their Zoom meetings. I can't physically go to their meetings. I think it's a 3-hour drive or something. So it's not really feasible unless I had someone go with me and we took turns driving back, because that's the problem. It's getting back after we've been out there all day. But since they're moving to Zoom, I was like, okay, I'm rejoining this because I can take advantage of their programming now. So they gained a member by keeping their Zoom open.
That makes perfect sense, actually. If I were any guild president or vice president or whatever, I would definitely hold on to those Zoom meetings, probably in perpetuity. I don't think I would ever get rid of those again.
Yeah, there's definitely an advancement in making it easy for people to gather. And I think of all those people who are just remote or just simply can't travel even to a local meeting. And I know our local Fox chapter, A&G chapter, for several members, when we get into the winter months here in Illinois, they're hesitant to go to the meetings because they have to drive at night. And so, they're members, they love it, but they can't do it. Or they're fortunate and someone will pick them up and take them home. And, this changes the game, or they just simply don't feel good that day. Well, all right, sign on and you don't miss out.
Yeah. You don't have to leave your living room. I know I live in Maine, and Maine only has one A and G chapter, and we only meet from May to October.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, because a lot of people go south or wherever it is else that they spend their winters. So, it's just like myself and two other people that are, year-long people that we all stay there. But, with the Zoom meetings, we can still have our meetings and see all the people we usually see in the summertime.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Makes a big difference.
And even getting together and stitching, for me, it was nice. We set up a few Zooms with a group of us, and we didn't meet we never met every week. But
Right.
now pretty much, unless, life happens and we can't, but for the most part, we're meeting every week and stitching and catching up on each other's life.
Nice.
And that's just nice because we, like you said, we're social.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of fun to be able to do that.
Well, and you can also pick other people's ideas, ask them, well, I'm having a problem here. What do you think? I mean, who you would like to ask questions of in your group. Mary Jo is your best stitcher, so to speak, or everybody thinks she's your best stitcher. So I have a difficulty. Maybe I get Mary Jo on this Zoom meeting that we have every week, and I can ask her a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good to share information. That's a really huge part of needlework.
Right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff coming up, I think. I think the hobby in it as a whole is going to be better off down the road just because of what we've been forced to learn technology-wise. It's just...
I think so. I think you're exactly right. Yeah.
Just an ugly way to get there. It really is.
Yeah. Well, it's tough for some people.
Yeah.
But, it's just the learning curve that you have to get through. That's all. I'm sure all of our teachers will be out there in one shape or another.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, you mentioned having some judges as NETA members, and when you say that, my first question that pops into my head is, I'd love to get in a room full of judges and just hear what they see. What do they see that are common errors or struggle points that needleworkers have when they're looking at when they're judging pieces, or when somebody pulls them aside at a meeting and says, "Hey, will you look at this and give me your opinion?" What do you hear from judge members or from even your colleagues about what they see that people struggle with, basically?
Okay. Well, when you talked about that, you had asked me about judges, that exact question. So I reached out to a few judges. I reached out to Joni Stevenson and Carlene Harwick, and the information that they gave was exactly the same. So the biggest mistakes and flaws, I have a little bit of I'm just going to read you what they've written me. So they say the biggest mistakes or flaws are stitch tension and canvas coverage, compensation, thread wear, beads, hiding traveling threads, ending threads, missed stitches, animal hair in your stitching, inconsistent, that was a new one on me, inconsistent stitch execution, laying threads, and framing. And they both came up with that exact same list. It was just amazing. Wow. Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes.
That's a lot, isn't it? That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot, but it's also, I mean, I think that's something that all of us deal with, all of those things, all the time. Not except Beth, she doesn't have any cat hair in her projects. So.
I was like, a cat. Oh well, no, not there. But the one that I'm really bad at, and I've been dinged on several times when I've turned my pieces in, is that little bit of thread that you can see that I didn't clip it close enough to my stitching. That I've gotten better about not traveling with it across my open thread, but getting that clipped close enough, I know that would ding me every time.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. I'm trying to find it on the sheets that they sent me, hiding traveling threads. The fact that you shouldn't be able to see them on the front of a canvas.
Gotten better at, but it's that the not clipping my thread close enough after I've woven it under. Sometimes I'll look at the back of my piece and I'm like, I thought I clipped all those, and there they are.
Travel threads that are visible from normal stitching can be hidden in two different ways. So you can tack the visible travel threads on the back to other stitches on the back, or being extremely careful in stitch execution and running the stitching thread behind the stitches. So Beth had said that oftentimes her thread still shows, even though she believes that she's cut it really close to the canvas. When you pull it, it's all according to how much thread you have left. I'm not sure if you can tell me if you've left, like a quarter of an inch, a centimeter, or whatever. But sometimes if you pull it taut, or not, as taut as you can without doing any kind of distortion, and then clipping, and when you let go, it will slide underneath the stitching. I don't know if you've tried that. And
I don't think I do that. I don't pull it, but that makes sense because you do that when you quilt.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The same sort of thing.
Right. And another thing that I had learned that I hadn't really thought about from the judging information is sometimes you can also see things if people bury their thread too deeply underneath the existing stitches, that you're almost next to the canvas. So when you go to weave in and out, I weave 3 times for whatever reason. I'm going to make sure that I'm very cognizant that when I do weave it in and out, it's not as far, not as deep into the threads as I normally would do. If you had, say, 3 threads on the back, I normally would try to go underneath all 3 threads. From now on, I'm going to be very cognizant of only going under 1 thread, because that will also, I understand, show the threads on the back, on the front. Yeah, right? Who knew?
Because, I'm always at least 3, if not more threads, so I need to be careful about that.
Me too. I know exactly what you're saying.
Because I don't want that. I just have a never-ending fear of the beginning or the end of a strand coming loose.
Mm-hmm. And I know.
I go to great lengths to make sure that they don't.
Well, especially if it's a piece that you are using, such as a pillow.
Right.
Or if it's in cross stitch, if it's something that you're going to wash, you really don't want that stuff to come undone. So, leave your tails longer. Maybe they go underneath further, but just not as deeply.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to practice this.
That's right. Get that practice piece of canvas out and just start weaving through. Do some basket weave or whatever, and then try and do it.
Yeah, because I'm not sure. Well, I know I don't think about whether burying a thread has any impact on the front. Now, if I were doing a field of basket weave on 18-point canvas, I'm keenly aware of how you can mess up the front quite easily. But with other threads and and other stitches, I don't ever think about it. I guess I need to think more about that then.
Right. I would never have thought of it either. And it was pointed out. And I was like, oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about it. I could see it definitely happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's so many things.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that tension was on that list, because that's just the ongoing challenge. But in your teaching, do you see people constantly struggling with tension, too loose, too tight, all in the same piece?
Absolutely, especially if they pick it up and they're doing it on a Monday, put it down and don't pick it up till a Wednesday. Monday was a very bad day for this person, just as an example. They have a lot of stress, so they're pulling very tightly. Wednesday, they've done 2 days of yoga and they're back and they're feeling good, and they don't have any stress, and everything is a lot looser. So you just have to try to be very consistent with your pulling. And, you don't want any white canvas really to show unless it's part of the design, but just trying to get that consistency. It's important.
Yeah.
Right.
But, that's not to say that there's a right way and a wrong way, but some things do look better. And also, if you are indeed going to get it judged, there kind of sort of is a wrong way and a right way. Yeah. So I don't put anything in exhibits. There you go.
Yeah. That eliminates that problem right there.
Exactly. I have enough criticism. I don't need more.
But that's an interesting thing because needlework is supposed to relieve tension. So,
Exactly. Why create more?
right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing though was that I thought the funny one was the animal hair in your stitching, because I know I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was. I thought I'd kept the cat hair off of it until I put on a stronger pair of magnifiers, and I was like, here it is. There's that cat hair.
Yeah. Well, I did a couple of pieces, and they were just fun, just my own designs, just for myself that weren't ever going to be taught. And my cat hair was in it. There was cat hair in it. And I could have pulled it out, but then I kind of looked at it and I thought, well, the cat was part of this process. So I'm leaving it in. So I have Oscar hair forever, So it doesn't bother me, but I think if it were in an exhibit, it would have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. When you're a pet owner, dog or cat, but really cats. I mean, we used to have a couple cats, and the hair part, even if you clean all the time, the hair part is just part of your life, and your mind is not aware of it, and especially cats jumping on your lap while you're stitching, and you lay it down and they brush by it, and there's hair there all the time. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, it's kind of the way it is, but I guess judges look down on that. That's why I'm not a judge. I don't want to do that. I want to embrace everybody's talent. So another thing that I did think was interesting was the framing.
Yes.
Because a lot of people do try to put fairly ornate frames on their piece, even if it doesn't dictate it. So, rather than working to try to find a frame that enhances their piece, they just take, I don't know, sometimes just overly elaborate frames. And I've seen that myself. And then really what you're looking at is the frame and not the piece of needlework.
Right.
Yeah. So that is definitely an issue.
And I'm guessing if you had a poor framing job, that would also detract from when you're getting it judged.
Oh yeah. What if the canvas isn't lined up evenly?
Right.
Within the frame. Oh, that's yeah. No, that's not good. That is not good.
No.
Even I know that one. It's like, no. Yeah. But it costs, it costs to get a good framing job, upwards of $300-$400 now. People think about that twice.
Yeah, that's an expensive part of it. Yeah, if you can't do it yourself, that's
Yeah. And I think I would also try to make sure that I didn't have any misstitches. When you're done, hold it up to that window, see if you have any misstitches, and then go back and fill those in. Making sure your tension is correct, and being careful with red thread next to white thread. I was thinking white thread will easily pick up red thread fibers, little bits of that red thread. So I use a phrase, light thread first, dark thread last.
Okay.
To keep the order in mind when you're stitching. So light thread first, dark thread last. Just to remind yourself which color to stitch with first.
Okay, well, that helps me because I never remember, because I know it makes a difference.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. It sometimes those little catchy phrases actually do work, and it's important. You don't want white with little bits of red all over it, unless you're trying to look like peppermint or something. But other than that, I can't think of anything else.
No, there's no other good reason. No, I'm sure not. No.
No, there's no other good reason.
No.
And then one thing that I wanted to read that Joni Stevenson wrote that I thought was very interesting about making sure that you catch stitching flaws is, why is it important that we take all of these things into consideration? And she said, when you look at a stitched pattern, your eye will travel over the pattern continuously and move around the stitched piece. Where there is an error in the pattern, your eye will stop will stop moving because that stands out. It's different. And I'm thinking specifically of tension and wrong compensation and things like that. You will want to look at it more closely, figure out why your eye stopped there. And then you have a focal point in a place where you do not want a focal point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, really good point, because there are times when you look at something and you're not quite sure why it's wrong. And then you stop, and sometimes you can figure it out and sometimes you can't, all according to how closely you look.
Yeah, because that gets to that when you're finished with a piece, when you put that last stitch in. To me, there's one more step, and that is carefully going over everything, looking for just those things that you just missed.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's that hole?
There's just so many things. And people, I do canvas embroidery, so needlepoint, and there's a reason that we do needlepoint. For myself, I can only speak for myself, very structured, and want to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. So going back to fix those errors is very important to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
Thank you for digging that up. Young people. What are you seeing with us attracting and keeping young people in the hobby? Is that happening? Do we need to do something more structured to attract young people? What's your reading on that?
I think that there's definitely a resurgence of younger stitchers. I mean, there's no doubt about it. If you're even on Facebook for a short period of any day, you'll see that there are children that are embracing this. And I know that teachers in NETA have noticed younger students that are signing up. The thing that I would say is, as teachers, we need to start designing for them and to them, because they're not necessarily going to be interested in what my contemporary will be interested in. And then also we need to make sure that the classes are available when they are available. Right. I think, Thursday at 1:00 might be great for Sally Joe out in Montana to teach it, but all the kids are in school, hopefully anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Working. Young people are working. You've got the 30-year-olds. They're working. They're busy with their job. So they can only be available in the evenings or on the weekends, maybe.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be able to work with your clientele. I mean, if you want the 12-year-old, you're going to have to, first of all, come up with a design that a 12-year-old wants, whether it's Hello Kitty or I don't know what, something, because there's a big taste difference.
Right? Yeah, I need to work on that. That's and that timing thing is interesting. I used to do an awful lot of used to keep a lot of aquariums, and once did a podcast on aquariums. And there was, in a magazine, there was an article that has stuck with me because it applies everywhere. And it was a little editorial or something, and it was how to make sure your aquarium store fails. And the first one was, be open when your customers can't come to your store.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Be open from 9 to 5 when everyone's working, and then when they can come to the store, you're closed. Yeah. And you hit that same point. Offer classes when your students can't come, and we need to adjust that. Yep.
Right. Yeah. That's it's just setting yourself up for failure.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So maybe with the Zoom, that will open up a lot more avenues. That would be nice with online teaching.
Yes.
Right. Something you could walk at a late, maybe Mary Jo can only do it at 1:00, but she records it. You have a link to access it at 2:00 in the morning because you've got a baby who's awake. And so
right.
And let me tell you, I took A&G's first. I think I took one of their first cyber workshops, and that's how I took it. I had a baby in my lap, and I was doing the feed. That was when I could read the lessons.
Mm-hmm. Right.
My baby was sleeping, and then I could get up at another time and do the stitching.
Right. You make it work for yourself,
Right.
So,
right.
yeah. And if they want to continue teaching, maybe more people will be doing that, recording online videos that people can access at different times, any time of the day or night.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Teachers are flexible. We can do it.
Yes. Well, but there needs to be an awareness. There simply has to be that there's a whole world of needleworkers out there that if we do things right, we can draw them in and change the hobby, keep it growing. And but that's a good point about need to design things that attract them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's, I think, is a difficult thing. Sometimes I know a lot of teachers that tell me that, well, I design what I like, and if it gets picked up, it gets picked up. Well, okay, it's good to make yourself happy, but if you really do want to get out there and teach, you're going to, or you might need to change what you're designing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So it is what it is. And I think that our teachers are pretty darn smart. They'll be able to figure it out, especially with NETA guiding them.
Yes, of course. All right, Susan, really enjoyed it. Okay. Thanks so much for the time, and thanks for NETA. This is fantastic. Now, for people who are interested, the website is embroideryteachers.com, embroideryteachers.com, and it's all laid out there. It's a very simple site to navigate, and the information is easy to get a hold of. And send an email, and we now know it all goes to Susan, whether she likes it or not. So that's a good thing.
Yep, I will respond. I promise.
All right. Thanks, Susan. Thanks to everyone for listening.
Thank you very much.